Welcome to the HigherEdJobs Podcast. I'm Andy Hibble, the Chief Operating Officer and one of the co-founders of HigherEdJobs.
And I'm Kelly Sherwin, the Director of Editorial Strategy.
And we're joined today by one of my favorite people at HigherEdJobs, John Eikenberry, who's the President and co-founder of HigherEdJobs. Welcome, John.
Happy to be here. And I'm excited to hear I'm one of your favorite people. So we're off to a great start.
You're at least in the top 40.
Well,
joking aside, John, it's great to have you here. We're here for a playlist edition where you're going to add a song to our Spotify playlist. I can honestly say you're the first person I ever talked to at HigherEdJobs.
Likewise.
And it sounds kind of like, oh, that's kind of cool. But really, the day in the spring of 1996 where we were working at college, you decided to use the intercom system to buzz me, which was something you do. And you came to me with an idea that day. You remember what that idea was?
I do.
Care to share?
At that time, just specifically an idea to list job openings in development offices at universities across the country. Little germ of an idea that then went on beyond that to all of higher ed.
And that was the call that sprouted this whole discussion for us. And I've had the pleasure of working with John for 26 years now. And honest to God, the fun you'll hear today that we're having, we get to do that all the time. And I think one of the things, as we talk a little bit about the playlist and job search, I can tell you, I don't know if there's a person I know who cares more about what folks are going through when they go through a job search and how to make the process better in any way we can. So maybe before we add this on to the playlist, maybe just share a little bit about on a day-to-day basis what you do at HigherEdJobs.
Every day will be different, but at my core areas that I'm responsible for overseeing and leading are sales and marketing efforts. And then the other part is just one of the three owners and founders, along with yourself, Andy and Eric. As you know, there's all of the other items that come to running a business. And so those are, I guess, would be the three main areas: sales, marketing, and then the other grab bag of items that need to be attended to for running a business. And
having been somebody who's spent nearly half of your life thinking about job search, what would you say is, if you had one piece of advice for somebody who's in an active job search right now, what would it be?
What comes to mind, I think, is just having faith in yourself. There can be challenges with this. There might be doubts, but you just need to keep on fighting and working and figuring things out. And that can be that, if you're in a position you feel like it's time to move on to another one, putting yourself out there for that. Or if you're in an area where, I'm not sure if this institution or if this particular line of working in higher education is the right fit for me, having that strength in belief in yourself to put yourself out there and try other things. You can do a lot with having that faith in yourself to push yourself forward. And a lot of times you can be your own limiter. So keeping that open and pushing yourself and being all you can be.
I think that's fantastic advice, John. Just keeping the faith and not giving up. Because as Andy and I have talked about before, the job search definitely has its ups and downs, and just having that ability to keep going is huge. So thank you for that. So I think now we're actually going to move into what we're here to discuss today, is our playlist. Andy, I'll turn it over to you to kind of ask John what is on the top of his list.
Kind of like to say that every job search deserves a soundtrack. And I know when we started, it's kind of fun to have this conversation with you. Our initial conversations way back when surrounding this was about how we went through job searches and what the challenges we had back in the mid-90s. And I know, and I still remember today, there's 2 or 3 songs I still listen to today that I know were part of my job search soundtrack for various reasons. Got to keep those for later episodes. But what song would you like us to add to the Spotify playlist that you think is good for a job search, and why are you adding it?
I think the song that most came to mind when you asked this question was Taking Care of Business by Bachman Turner Overdrive.
Oh, some TCB by BTO. That's impressive.
Rock on.
If I'm not mistaken, isn't there a Charles Grodin movie also by the name?
That's outside my scope. We'll rely on our team of researchers to look that up.
I believe there's a Charles Grodin movie by that same name that you're going to love this. It was about a lost, which is just going to seem so antiquated right now, a lost filofax, I believe is what they called it, that was kind of a day planner back in the day that kept everybody organized before there were cell phones. kind of funny, but that's a wonderful, wonderful song. We always do ask, do you care to sing any of it, or you're going to leave people to listening to it on the playlist?
I'll take a pass on that. I'll let Kelly take that role. But I'll give you some insight into why that one came to mind. And it kind of connects with what we were talking about before, that I think there are parts of the job search process where you have to get the work done. You have to find time to review and update your resume or CV, work on your cover letters. It takes time to go through and review those openings, go through the application process. Or if you're in a position at that point in time, and whatever it is, there are times when you just need to get down and do the work. And sometimes there might be things going on that are pushing you. You don't want to do it, or you're afraid to do it. But sometimes you got to get in, do the work, take care of business. And it does two things. Number one, it helps move you forward with whatever that work was that you needed to get done. But I think there's also an emotional lift that comes when, whatever that has been that obstacle, you're getting in, doing the work, and that sense of accomplishment that you're pushing yourself forward in your career and your job search. So here's to getting the work done and taking care of business.
There's no shortcuts to the work. The temptation is in the age that we live in that, hey, if I have a few seconds here to click a few things on my phone, I can apply. But no, you need to kind of put the work in and put the thought in and put the effort in each and every time as you're going through this process. You can't just circumvent the work. So great addition, John. Thank you. Thank you so much.
John, I know this is your first podcast with us, but you'll find out that sometimes you never know what's going to happen. Mike, feel free to edit this out. But John, I hope I'm not throwing you under the bus, but I know we were kind of talking before we officially recorded that, you threw out the idea of weird science, talking about the idea, giving a shout out to our science faculty. But when you said that, I actually thought about how a job search, it's not a perfect formula. It's not an exact science. It's a little bit of art. It's a little bit of science. It's a little bit of everything. And I think that actually is a really good song, because I think people need to know that, kind of like what you said, how your position is different every single day. I think job seekers have to realize that too, that they have to kind of be a little bit open to trying, like you said, keep going, having the faith, and know that A plus B doesn't always equal C. Like, we have to be flexible in how we're approaching job searches, how we're approaching the people that are interviewing us. And so I don't know if you want to add anything to my weird science thoughts, if you agree or disagree, but.
Yeah, there are lots of times in life where you do all the right things, but you don't necessarily get that outcome on the other side. Whether it's getting a job, college application process, or whatever, when you have a lot of people trying to get through this small funnel where there's a limited number of winners. And it can be frustrating because you can do all that work, and sometimes you feel like the payoff isn't there at the end. But to that end, I think, again, sticking with it, doing all those right things, A plus B might not always get you to C, but if you do A and B enough times, one of those times you're going to get to C. And that's what you just have to keep faith in and keep doing the work. And the science will work out eventually.
Well, thanks. I'm glad I asked that. Thank you, John, so much for joining us today. We really enjoyed kind of learning a little bit about your songs and why you chose them. And hopefully we're giving a little inspiration and faith to our job seekers out there.
As always, thank you for listening. We look forward to talking to you again on the Higher Ed Jobs Podcast. Have a great day.